Welcome back again. I can't believe how many people have been watching the videos. And the last one like this with like the 4-claw collet done really well. So you can see which one I'm making now. It's basically a 4-claw that's split into 8. But this time it's going to be a 2-parter video. I'm going to be releasing the collet's being made in this video. The second video, part 2, is going to be how I make the actual ring shank and like the little stiletto heel bit at the bottom that sits in between, and the full assembly. So you'll see me solder this together. There's no time lapsing in these two. Any questions that you have about this project or in part 2, just comment on either of the videos. But yeah, please enjoy the video. So you can see this one is starting out 4.5mm square. It doesn't matter too much if it's a little bit above or a little bit below. We're going to get the same result from a bit of squashing, bit of room for filing off. You can see I'm sort of cutting about 3/4 of this. Like I said before, that this little bit is what's going to go into part 2, which is going to be uploaded at the same time again. But this little tiny piece is all about this one, part 1. So I'm just going to take it and just get it milled down. Very similar to, well, very similar at this stage to the other collet video with the 4 claws. But I know sometimes some people haven't got like a big heavy duty vise or the press like what I used in that video. So I'll be doing this one a little bit different for anyone that hasn't got those tools. Okay, so we're not far off at this stage. So as I said before, I'm not going to time lapse these things. If anyone wants to put comments down below, if you want to let me know if you think like these little parts sort of take too long, not interesting to watch, or if you'd prefer me to actually time lapse these little bits just maybe say how long that took, that's something I can consider doing just to try and bring these videos down. So I'm just straightening this one up, ready to just sort of cut it to the right length. Yeah, because this video was going to be the 2-parter, and I think it went on for like over 2 hours, and it just seemed too long, you know. Yeah, so we cut our first little flat line. We just cut that off, and again, unlike other YouTube videos where I just use snips, cut straight through, it's never a clean surface, especially when some people literally just wrap that up, solder it. We want a nice clean surface so that when we close it down, cutting through a few times, well, we can just get a nice clean join. And it helps when soldering it in the long run as well, if you've got a nicer solder seam. Something just nice and slimlined it'd be perfect. But yeah, please do comment below if you think these sort of bits do drag out. I'd love to know if people would prefer for me to time lapse these. So yeah, so that's just in a standard wooden wedge. It's a normal divider scoring line to cut down. There was one part in this video as well, I know there was a couple of comments before saying about suggesting maybe talk while I'm actually making, and like the next part of this, when I'm actually putting the collet into the collet plate, it didn't go well. It was too much to concentrate, sort of keeping an ear out for my door, my phone, or worrying that my phone's going to go off. at the same time I was trying to give the proper information that I was trying to go through. But yeah, so that bit will just be deleted on this, and I'll just talk over that. And as you can tell, I've still got a sort of voices going a little bit, but it has been quite hot in here today, which makes a change. And same as before, this saw blade, a size 2.0, probably the most common saw blade used. For this, there's no point going any bigger or any finer. You'll also notice that I very, very rarely use beeswax. I find it just makes the blade just a little bit too slippery for a while. Like, yeah, it does help with some cutting, but those first initial sort of pulls on it are just, yeah, it's just too slippery. I just prefer to get in there, cut through. If it means blunting in the or if that's right, if it means making the blade blunt a lot sooner, like, so be it. I'm happy just to change the blade. And this is similar. All this bit's the same as the other video as well. Sort of just turning up the collet for the first time. Yeah, so these are my little snipe nose parallel pliers. I've had these ones for years. They're Morn pliers, the brand. English made, like made in England. These pliers are actually called Rango, because like when you hold them from the side, it looks like that cartoon character Rango, the lizard. There's quite a few of my tools that have names, and I think a lot of jewellers do. If you've got any good names for your tools and that, let me know down below. Yeah, so you notice as well, for the outside of any curve that I want protected, or even though we're squashing it, it's just force of habit, me sort of putting a bit of just binding a little bit of masking tape around, just to try and prevent as fewer little dents as possible. It's just a good habit to get into. It'll just help you out. So again, same as before, I said a minute ago, I just like my joins really neat, very streamlined. You also have to let anyone that's seen the video with the 4-claw, if anyone's actually giving it a go, let me know how it got on, what your results were, how you found it, or if it was helpful at all. There you go, so always with a little pinch here, then a pinch on the other side before I chuck it in sideways and just saw out that first bit. In theory as well, even if this wasn't a perfect circle, you've wrapped it round and it's all a bit squashed and a bit more like a smooth cornered triangle, even as long as you get that join right, by the time you get to the collet punch, it's just going to force it round anyway, so I wouldn't worry about it being super perfect. Yeah, there you go. It's not often that they sort of sit right after so few cuts sort of down the seam. Quite often I'll have to do a few more there. I've actually just started recording a little, just a simple tiny 18-karat yellow small bezel for just like a 14-pointer diamond. But I thought I might as well video that as well. Anyone that wants to see a bit of 18-karat yellow sort of being soldered and having that seam sort of soldered up and squished about and make a little flower pot. Yeah, so. And the same as what I always say, wherever the heat source is, try and, I know if you want to put it both sides, like opposite to opposites, can be a bit awkward. I would normally have my hand further around so it's always on the opposite side of the flame, because it always drags towards the heat source. But where I'm trying to record, the camera's in the way, and yeah, it's hard getting used to changing my style of doing things a little bit, or my normal routine rather. Yeah, so like I said before, I use the press to compress it, then after annealing every so often I put it in the vise and just done up the vise to force it in there. But you're not going to get away with it with a sort of a little hobbyist vise. It's not really going to be strong enough for the big collets. So you can see that this is just an old hammerhead. I'd always advise, more than anything, never throw anything away. Just hold everything. Never throw anything away. It always comes in useful. But just by using that, keeping it on the flat-sided hammer down, you'll still get an even press. Like, I do prefer using the vise, but this is quite a handy way of getting it forced in there without having to have like an engineer's vise on your bench, or the like my big sort of 1 ton press, I think it is. I'm sure it's only a ton, but it is a bit bulky and gets in the way. But with this hammer, even in the rose gold collets, that when rose gold's got a lot of copper in, that tends to be quite springy, it will just force it in there. So this isn't actually a diamond, this is just a cubic zirconia, sort of like 1 carat equivalent. So here you can see, if I were to press that down now, I'd end up having that little lip that comes over the top, so it almost looks like a traffic cone by the time you take it out. So we just turn it upside down the other way. Well, upside down is upside down. Tap it a few times, so that will just bring that sort of sidewall in a little bit, just at the top, so that when we take it out, we can see how to reseat it. That's probably the most annoying part of this. But yeah, so when I put it into the holder I want to achieve as like my final hole, you can see when I push it down, it's not going to sort of spill over the top. It's going to stay within that sort of the parameters of that actual collet space, the actual hole. This is a 17-degree collet punch as well, and just drive the little 17-degree stake in there, and just get that in. Then at this stage we're pretty much back to how the end result of how the original little flower pot sort of ended on the other video. Okay. So from here I can, it's more when you look sort of directly down, you can still see a nice little rim just going around the edge. And I said this on the other video as well, but if you're actually making this yourself, I'm just creating a clean sort of canvas here so that I can sort of do my markings on and that sort of thing, just so I can see it and it shows up better on the camera. The way I normally would do it, if I'm just working on my own, just cracking away, just getting the job done, I wouldn't even bother doing this. I'll just mark it over the top of where it is, but it just picks up on the camera better like this. Okay. I think at the moment it's been 11 days since I last uploaded a video. while I'm just doing the commentary for this one. And I kind of wish I'd done a couple of smaller videos just that I could have squeezed in with my normal work. It's just been so busy in the studio this week, or the last 2 weeks, even getting that last video out was kind of hard to find the time to sort of get it kind of how I wanted it. But yeah, both this part 1 and part 2, it's been a real struggle to try and get this one out. So I'm hoping everyone enjoys it, or gets a lot out of it at least. You're noticing quite a few of these videos I've got my left index finger covered up, and that's literally, it's not because I've drilled through my finger or anything. It's literally just because something had gone down my nail and it just got infected and it just looks nasty. So you see there's quite a few things now I've been holding with my thumb and my middle finger. So you remember this from the last time as well. Just a little 1.5mm hex nut and 2 little bolts. Just little Amazon jobbies. Then this is the same as before as well. Still just marking out the 4 points for now. The reason I started to do this collet, originally it wasn't going to be the 8 collet. I was going to do it as 4. But if you remember in that last collet, I do that straight cut down from where I want the claws. So in a minute I was cutting either side of these black marks, so that would be my actual claw. Whereas, and then it goes to like the knife edge in like the little sort of like the recess. There's like just a nice little sort of like reverse arch window. Whereas this one I wanted it to be slightly easier to make, slightly easier for anyone beginning and trying. But it was only sort of part way through when I'd sort of done this part I thought, actually I'm just going to turn this into an 8 claw, but with like the 4 double claws. And this is just a cut to round needle file. We'll get this quite a way. If you feel better sort of using a compass to mark out your 4 main sort of points, you're welcome to. But the more you do it, the more you'll just be able to do it by eye. It also goes the same for like little bits like this. If you wanted to let me know if you think this would be better on the time lapse, if I done the filing on one of the grooves and then just time lapse the other 4, just to narrow down the time, just to keep it all going, just to keep it all fluid, you know. Okay, so this is about I think it's a 1.2mm little flame burr. You see, quite often I don't hold my drill bit either like a pencil. I very much sort of hold it like you're on a motorbike or something. And a lot of, for me, is literally where my thumb is, and I use that as like an anchor point to sort of drop down on. And this will just create the main groove. if anyone's just started using little round burrs, you know how easy that they can jump out the holes or jump out of where you're trying to sort of put your marks, and they literally try and run away from you. So years ago, as a teenager, I was always like, something completely different, but I was fine going to the dentist for years. It didn't even bother me. But after I become a jeweller and seeing how, because they're like little dentist drills, seeing how easy, it put me off so much. Yeah, I know people say about English people having bad teeth, but yeah, like my teeth are terrible. Half of them are, well, there's a few missing now, but we'll just say that. But yeah, it was a long while before I went back to the dentist as well. It put me off for about 7 years probably, quite a while. And this one's about 2.5, 2.6 mil bud burr. Just get that extra cut in, you know, just get a little bit wider. The same as drilling a normal hole with a twist drill. By starting smaller, you've just got less chance. It's just going to take the outside. It's going to take the outsides off easier, and there's going to be less sort of slipping and like the actual bud burr sort of jumping and sort of running away, sort of across the work and putting loads of marks in. I will do a video that's got like some basics of how I make like my buff sticks, for example, sharpening my scalpers, ways I'll hold a piercing saw, things like that, but also about drilling, because it's only when I'm actually using these sort of burrs, like, or phrases, quite a few people in Europe call them, when I actually press down on the pedal to make the drill go, that's when I'm actually burring away. Whereas when I'm actually using like just like a straight twist drill of some kind, I rev it so it spins, and I only push down and drill the hole when it's basically like on the slow down. And I will use like beeswax or like witch hazel type of oil, that stuff that smells like deep heat. But when I do the video I'll find out what it's called. I'm sure it's like witch hazel or something. Yeah, so back to the cut to round file. That's just putting that nice sort of curve in it. So nothing as pointy as like the last collet and video. Yeah, so it was actually at this point when I'd done the fourth one that I was tempted to go up, because if you wanted to take this bigger from where it is now, I actually use, I've got a few different sizes, but chainsaw files. Just, I can't remember if I got them off Amazon or eBay. Not anything you really get from a jeweller's jewellery supplier. But you just go in with the next width of file, and you haven't got that in the jewellery, the Swiss velour ones. So yeah, so it's just a standard sort of chainsaw file that I use. But yeah, it was at this kind of stage that I decided to actually leave that width there and turn each one into 2 claws. Yeah, I'd love to know how everyone's getting on with trying some of these techniques, or how similar things have gone for you in the past. So you can see now, because I've got that main curve down the bottom, I started using the tip of the file a little bit more just to get that very centre piece that's sort of touching the inside curve, inside of the collet, just trying to get that lower down. You can see at this point as well, we start going up and kind of just start rocking over and just sort of like giving it a little lean. Just see with like another little homemade tool that I've got as well, that I'll use quite soon for cleaning up this collet. Yeah, the next few videos are going to be shorter, simpler projects as well, things that I can record a bit quicker that should look quite interesting, and hopefully people will be able to watch it and be able to sort of suss things out and sort of be able to relate to it after watching a few of these videos and different techniques that I've done. At some stage I'll mention it again in the second part video, but actually soldering a silver, because to make like a big note, I would never put diamonds this big in silver. Chances are if a customer wants to spend like a few £1000s on a big diamond, they're not going to mind buying actual gold or platinum, something like that. But yeah, but the silver is so much harder to work than what gold actually is. But somewhere down the line I'll actually do maybe like a real nice classic 6-claw collet in 18 yellow, and maybe put it in a platinum shank, similar to what the shank is going to be like on this one, but maybe with like a little knife edge as well. But yeah, it's just like for this, that every time you heat silver up and it going black, and yeah, 18 karat yellow goes black, but at least you can pre-polish it a little bit, whereas platinum you can pre-polish every little component, solder it together nicely, and at first glance it actually looks like you don't need to refinish it or polish it, it looks done. That's how nice it is. And again, this is just a cut to saw blade again, just to split the top millimetre, maybe it's like maybe at 1.3 mil down. In a way you could go halfway down this claw if you just want to have that complete split. And also the way these claws are formed, you see the shank I put this on, I actually attach it to a double claw each side. But if you've got a shank that sort of goes lower, you could actually put it round so it sort of sits straight, and you will be able to, you could even put a square stone in something like this. So this is similar to before. You think we've got to this stage already, like to the sort of putting the scribe line for the guide of where I'm going to cut for the following part, whereas that other one in the 4-claw video, it kind of went to that knife edge. It makes it a lot trickier just getting to that stage, whereas when you're making this one you find it a lot quicker. And this is a cut to square escapement file. I was going to use my bigger one, which would save a bit of time for yourselves, but my one was quite blunt. I've had to order another one, but it's not here yet. And you can already see, like from the original outcome of what this was like, you can sort of imagine it, you can see it, you just get the feel for all of it. And if you've had a bit of practice at this as well, even at this stage you'll be able to think of your own ideas and your own variations of all of these. You're welcome to ask any opinions or anything that I might think is like a bad idea or a good idea. I'm But when it comes to a lot of things, I'm quite blunt. I'll just say it and let you know if you're up for knowing if certain things are a good idea. But yeah, but if you imagine, even at this stage, if you had it in a ring shank, in those side bits, instead of having them cut out at the bottom, you could have it sitting flush on the actual finger. You can actually even put a couple of stones in, sort of grain set stones maybe, sort of like back to back triangles with a line down the middle. There's a lot of variations like that you can do, and you'll just come up with loads of your own ideas. So this, so this little part I'm cutting off, I'd normally keep this for the under bezel, but the way this one went towards the end, which you'll see in the next video or at the very beginning of part 2, I'd actually made a separate little sort of like heel for it that goes underneath and sort of sets between the ring shank. You know, so this is the GRS thermo lock again. But you know, it's just then when I was cutting it, I literally just got to the end of cutting it before it started melting and it was about to dislodge itself. And the saw blades really don't like the plastic, so they blunt that pretty quick. You can see now, before when I have like the knife edge ones, I like to get in here with a saw blade. I would normally with this one as well for this stage, but I just wanted to show other variations of that you can file it if you want to, but just showing that you can get it so it's quite streamlined, so it looks a lot more, I don't know the word I want really, just a nice uniformed edge all around and not sort of bulky, and it just takes a little bit more filing. Yeah, see, I wish I had a nice way of holding these upside down in something that wouldn't start melting when it gets warm. I say normally if, like I said, I've got a dodgy finger now on my left index finger, but generally over the years I will just hold that as it is on the peg, and quite often at this point I wouldn't even put this in the plastic. So you can already see it rocking there as well. It kind of wants to just jump out. So I did skip that bit. I did have to warm that up, put it a bit lower, then put it in cold water so it would set pretty quick. Alright. So I don't know if you can hear that. It's the site I'm on is actually there's a few companies up here that have to have quite high security as well, and so I'm on like a little enclosed sort of park without sort of completely doxing myself, but it's but I've got all on site maintenance things, and I think the drain lorry's about to come out and it's not quiet. Yeah, there we go. So you can see it's a lot of this, like you can see more than what I'm filing now. If you look more how my thumb is, so when I'm rolling it away from me, you can see my thumb sort of pushing it really gently. It's just getting a nice rhythm, and you can see when I'm sort of rolling back towards me, I'm kind of leaning it on my thumb, letting that sort of take the pressure. It's all these little things that that takes some getting used to. And as you see just then, I slip as well. and this was one of the original reasons why I wanted to like try and keep everything in as well, so everyone gets to see me actually doing slips and sort of breaking saw blades and like little accidents as well, because it happens. And there's no point hiding it. But there's so many YouTube videos that just cut everything out, and yeah, I just like things to be more transparent. The same as when I'm sort of designing things for customers and doing the prices and like breakdowns and stuff. I like to tell them exactly what everything costs, so they know exactly where all their money's going. So it's not a cheap place to go to, you know. So you can see here, I'm just buffing the main arches at first. You wouldn't normally have to do this bit, but like I said, I did accidentally slip a little while ago. So, but then as soon as you buff out one little slip, you've got to kind of go around the whole thing and make it match. But yeah, like I said, I'm not cutting it out. Leave that in. I'll go through the pain with it, with you. So now for the first time, we've done the top. So this again is really only rolling straight for now, just to put a bit more definition in that main groove. I think I'd put this. I think I said before, like the main tutorials I will label and kind of give levels, so you can kind of, so you've got something to aim for. And I did put this one down as a level 4. It's kind of level. It's definitely a higher sort of level 4 for if you can get it assembled nicely without solder running everywhere all over little bits. Basically where it shouldn't be. So you can see now, like from this part, I did have a few little bits where I've done that, where I say I wanted to put that bit of definition in that groove. It kind of didn't have that sort of continuous line, so I did have to do a couple of little rolls just to bring it all back in shape, really. Yeah, we're almost getting to the end of this one. Yeah, and I hope this helps again. It's been really hard just trying to find the time to record this whole video. It's been hard work, it really has. But like I said to a couple of people, I will be, you'll see a little clip of like the final piece as well in a minute, so everything you can see in the next bit, like at the very end, it's basically all in the second video. There's no third video. It's literally the shank and the assembly I put all in one. I didn't want to make it into 3, you know. But yeah, I hope you enjoy the rest of this video, and please do watch the part 2 as well. Oh yeah, just quick to note, this paper, this is just a normal bit of 2000 or 1600 grit paper that I've put double-sided sticky tape on, or like double-sided tape almost, rather not like normal sticky tape. But I've put that on and wrapped it around, I think, a 1.5mm little spindle. Again, never throw anything away. You don't know when it's going to come in handy. I can't remember what it came off, but it comes in handy for things like this. And yeah, you can see I've just wrapped the paper around, and it sticks together at the top. It's just a cheap way of just making like a nice, very sort of solid buff stick. Yeah, it's a nice little tool. It's a good little tip, that one. There you go, and a little pre-polish in here. But yeah, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Thanks for everyone that is already subscribed, because as I'm doing this, I think I'm only, about 5 subscribers off of 1,000, and it's just gone so quick. It's yeah, that's more than I thought it would take, like 5 years maybe to get to 1,000 subscribers. But to do that from when things really sort of I started putting more videos on literally 4 weeks ago, and to be on almost 1,000 subscribers is unreal. But yeah, thank you so much for that. It's incredible. But yeah, please do watch the next one. And this is just a knife edge felt wheel. I'll include tips for these, because I actually shape a lot of these myself as well, for things that you can't buy. So I'll maybe do that video in a couple of weeks. I've got a couple more little tiny projects I want to do first. But yeah, please watch the second part. I'm releasing both of these, so literally hit at the same time, go live at the same time, sorry. Yeah, I really hope it helps. Yeah, thank you for watching, and yeah, nearly 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. It's quite hard getting my head around that. Yeah, it's, considering I don't normally even sort of do public speaking or speak in front of more than 4 or 5 people, and to think how many people have watched some of these videos already is yeah, it's unreal. But yeah, I'm going to leave you there this time. Thanks again for watching. Speak to you in a minute.